Every day, the Federal Reserve screens roughly 11.8 million international transfers, more than $5 trillion, move through its servers. Only 0.00002% ever get manually flagged. Today, one of them will stop the entire system. If you care about how global systems really break, subscribe. These stories don't surface twice. Morning light slices across Lower Manhattan, like a scalpel. Clean, sharp, unforgiving. Screens glow. Cables hum. Nothing breaks here. Nothing even dares to. Perfection cracks the quietest. And that's what makes what happens next impossible. At the center of it sits Evan Kessler, 40 years old. Disciplined, precise. A man who hears timing, the way musicians hear pitch. He scrolls through the Swift queue. Routine. Predictable. Billions move every hour. Through a network of 11,000 banks. Across 200 countries. Then something pulses. One line appears at the edge of the queue. It isn't loud. It isn't alarming. It's just wrong enough to make him lean in. A micro-tension spike. 35 transfer requests with a total value of $951 million. All of them originate from Bangladesh Bank, a central bank running Swift servers on Windows Server 2003, protected by a $10 firewall that never worked. Everything looks perfect. Formatting, authentication, routing, clean, polished, professional. Too professional. One detail freezes him. A beneficiary name he's never seen before. Shalika Foundation. Spelled slightly wrong. One letter. Enough to hold nearly $1 billion hostage. A typo that should have triggered instant rejection. But instead, it keeps moving. He checks the next request. Then the next. Then the next. 4 banks. 4 jurisdictions. All hitting the queue within timing windows that are statistically impossible for random traffic. This is no clerical error. This is choreography. Evan picks up the phone. Get over here. A supervisor steps beside him. 2 sets of eyes. 1 silent calculation. Freeze it. A click. $620 million. Locks mid-flight. Frozen seconds before execution. The room goes silent. Why would a central bank drain almost $1 billion overnight? For a moment, it looks like it worked. Dashboard steady. The queue stabilizes. On paper, the breach is contained. That assumption becomes the opening. Half a world away, in Dhaka, a routine output device coughs, stutters, then dies. It isn't a crisis. It isn't a headline. It's just old hardware, failing at the wrong hour. The technician shrugs. Paper jam. Bad toner. Old machine. He has no idea. The failure has blinded his institution completely. For 8 hours, there is no physical record. For 8 hours, New York sees everything, and Dhaka sees nothing. Firewalls don't matter. Encryption doesn't matter. Budgets don't matter. What matters is a single point of attention. For 8 hours, Bangladesh Bank has 0 paper confirmation. New York is staring at $951 million in outbound transfers. Dhaka has no physical proof they were ever sent. 8 hours of blindness, and worse, predictability. Attackers don't fear strong systems. They fear systems that pay attention. What no one in Dhaka understands is this. Vulnerability isn't a bug. It's a rhythm. Old servers. Unpatched routers. Shared terminals. Audits delayed. Staff stretched thin. On paper, Bangladesh Bank protects over $30 billion in foreign reserves. In reality, parts of the infrastructure belong to another decade. Not broken, just predictable. And predictability is oxygen. In a cold room under fluorescent lights, analysts watch global banking traffic scroll past. They aren't hackers. They're observers. One of them studies a timing graph, the same anomaly Evan just noticed. He's been tracking it for months. Not mistakes. Openings. Back in New York, a blinking cursor waits, as if it knows something is coming. The investigation hasn't even started, but the clock has. And no one realizes. The heist has already passed the point where stopping it is even possible. 12 days earlier, in Dhaka, a hallway feels abandoned. A systems officer named Rahman sits at his desk. Underpaid, overloaded, exhausted. He knows the truth. The servers are old. The routers are failing. The Swift terminal overheats every night. Budgets stall. Upgrades freeze. Committees delay everything. Rahman once joked that the older the system gets, the easier it forgets what it's supposed to protect. He logs off and walks away. Behind him, a tiny indicator light shifts from green to amber. No alert. No alarm. A warning no one sees. Half a world away, Operator 14 reviews Swift message structures. Like sheet music. Harmony, deviation, weakness. He isolates the perfect target. Bangladesh Bank. Old, unpatched, predictable. Meanwhile, in Dhaka, someone opens a harmless-looking email. There is no crash. There is no alert, but malware slips inside quietly, patiently, watching. It crawls through the network, learns behavior, maps blind spots, and finds the weakest component of all. Not a server, not a firewall, the printer. One night, Rahman walks past the Swift room. He hears the printer running and keeps walking. He doesn't know it's printing decoy logs, fake records burying the real ones. The bank sleeps. The printer flickers like a dying heartbeat. Weeks of reconnaissance follow. Not against firewalls. Not against encryption. Against people. Each flaw is small alone. Together, they form a blueprint. Operator 14 monitors timing charts. Noise to anyone else. Music to him. 3 continents drift out of sync. One window opens. This isn't hacking. It's choreography. The attackers stage Swift messages. Like planes lining up on a runway. They aren't sending them. They're aligning them. Invisible. Back in New York, Evan senses something tightening. Too clean. Too synchronized. Fraud is messy. This isn't. He feels turbulence. Before the instruments move, he scrolls back through older logs. A few odd timings. Minor inconsistencies. Nothing reportable. But in sequence, they form a spine. Every great heist leaves fingerprints if you know how to read time. Evan is one of the few. And without knowing it, he's already in a silent duel with someone doing the same thing, half a world away. Late in the night, 3 continents drift out of sync again. A tiny timing window opens. Less than 90 seconds. The perfect alignment. No countdown. No warning. Operator 14 simply nods. Wave 1 begins. The first sequence leaves Dhaka. Quiet, clean, disguised. 4 transfers. Large, but still within routine range. The Federal Reserve receives them. Algorithms hesitate for 0.8 seconds. A hiccup. A pause. Exactly what the attackers engineered. Tiny artificial delays mask the abnormal rhythm. That hesitation becomes a doorway. Money moves. Millions. Then tens of millions. In Dhaka, the printer remains silent. No oversight. No physical logs. No accountability. Evan feels it. Transfers arrive early, by milliseconds. Only someone trained on timing anomalies would notice. Meanwhile, in Manila, a branch manager files a report about an unusual inflow. She doesn't know. It's the first shadow of the heist. Operator 14 launches Wave 2. Bigger amounts. Different corridors. More noise. More confusion. Money streaks across Asia. Manila. Sri Lanka. Colombo. Intermediary banks. No one audits after midnight. Suspicion rises in New York, but suspicion moves like a human. Money moves like electricity. By the time Evan leans in, Wave 3 is already in motion. Stay with this. The next 90 seconds decide everything. The attackers pause. The window shrinks. One validation. One human glance. One unexpected audit. And everything collapses. Operator 14 raises his hand. No more releases. The window closes. Morning in Dhaka arrives. The shift walks in expecting routine and finds nothing. No logs. No printouts. No explanations. Someone checks the Swift queue, stops breathing, and then comes the scream. Hundreds of millions have moved. No signatures. No verification trail. Nothing. How do you investigate a robbery when the vault was never opened? Dhaka scrambles for answers, but every question hits another blind spot. The printer failed. Logs vanished. Supervisors skipped verification. Operators trusted the system, and the system trusted silence. By the time investigators arrive, the trail is dissolving. Cross-border transfers bounce between jurisdictions that don't share morning hours, let alone emergency protocols. New York demands timestamps. Dhaka cannot produce them. In global finance, delay isn't a flaw. It's the terrain, and the attackers built their roadmap around it. Manila flags abnormal flows. Sri Lanka reports nothing. Colombo auto-replies. Singapore's filters trigger too late. A heist of money can be reversed. A heist of timing cannot. Because every delay, every missing log, every unanswered email is part of the crime scene, and the criminals counted on it. Dhaka detonates. The call comes. You requested nearly $1 billion. Silence. Everything fractures. Across the world, the system convulses. Freeze notices surge. Transfers stop mid-flight. Others bounce back. But part of the money, the lethal part, is already gone. Manila wakes to chaos. Accounts emptied. Casino chips flowing. Shadow corridors activate. 3 countries. 3 clocks. 1 disaster accelerating. Back at the Fed, Evans studies the clusters. Perfect spacing. Perfect timing. They weren't hacking. They were conducting. By nightfall, emergency teams swarm government halls. Screenshots. Logs. Access histories. Everything points to one conclusion. This wasn't theft. It was choreography. Infiltration disguised as routine. And the heist isn't over. It hasn't even peaked. The most dangerous part is coming next. Night falls in Pyongyang. A windowless room. 4 analysts. 1 countdown. Every route mapped, every rhythm measured, every second accounted for. Across the world, Dhaka sinks into silence. The Swift printer is dead. A $200 machine, the only physical audit log the bank had. It failed at the exact hour. 35 fraudulent transfers left the building. A system isn't most vulnerable when it's weak. It's most vulnerable when no one is watching. The countdown hits 0. A tiny disturbance reaches Dhaka. The final blindfold. Operator 14 watches pulses move across the map. Dhaka, New York, Manila, Colombo, Singapore. 3 rhythms overlap. The door opens. Perfect gaps. Human-like hesitation. No ripple. No alarm. Pure precision. Manual review kicks in. The window collapses. Stop. No more releases. Every heist reaches this moment, where control becomes freefall. Sunrise in Dhaka. Routine shatters. Printouts missing. Logs incomplete. Oversight gone. Hundreds of millions missing. The nightmare is only half finished. The manhunt ignites across 3 countries. Transfers freeze. Others vanish into financial shadows. Fast. Slow. Barely at all. By the time Dhaka understands, the money is gone. Not stolen. Transformed. Atomized. Scattered. Bankers blame IT. The Fed blames Dhaka. Dhaka blames the Fed. Everyone is right. Everyone is wrong, because the truth sits in the gap between them. The heist wasn't built on breaking walls. It was built on slipping through spaces where those walls don't meet. A ghost moving through systems that never fully spoke to one another. Money is fast. Accountability is slow. And timing has now become a weapon. If stories like this make you rethink the systems we trust, follow the next one. It's already unfolding.